Martha did the right thing. When Jesus, the 12 disciples, the women who were with him, and all the other people following Jesus showed up in her village, in this servant village, she invited them into her house. She extended hospitality. She welcomed them. Martha did the right thing. Hospitality both then and now was a central tenet of Judaism. By opening up her life, opening up her space, welcoming the sojourner, welcoming the foreigner, welcoming people into her life, even though she was unprepared, she had done the right thing. Martha's a kind of remarkable biblical character. She was apparently a land-owning, head of household female in a society where that was nearly unheard of. We don't know how that came to be. But we do know that she was different. We do know that she would have not been seen as the same as the other people of her village. That she may have been born there, but she was not the same. So what we know is that when Jesus entered her village, he didn't choose to go to one of the other houses. He chose to go to Martha's house. And there's probably a reason for this. And that is that God seems to always be working through really unexpected people. Jesus' choice to accept Martha's invitation fits this biblical pattern of God working through unlikely people. It was probably surprising to the other folks in the village when they watched Jesus go to Martha's home instead of one of the larger homes in the village, a home that maybe had servants ready, or a home led by a dignified man who would be able to rally people to come and help him with this hospitality task that was undertaken, a palatial estate. It may be surprising that Jesus would choose to go to Martha's home. And it probably was to the people who witnessed this happening. But it fits the biblical pattern of God working through unlikely people. Martha, as we know, had no advance warning that this was going to happen. There was no time for her to prepare the meals in advance, to prepare the space in advance. It was just like she saw them coming into her village, she invited them, and now they're here. And she had no servants to help her. Last week we talked about the parable of the Good Samaritan and what it means to be a neighbor. Apparently, none of Martha's neighbors were willing to come and help her either. So this passage stands in some direct contrast from what Jesus was just talking about, of how we assist and how we work with one another. And we find Martha, by herself, attempting to do all of the tasks of hospitality and welcoming people in, having done the right thing by inviting them in the first place. Well, we know that invitation is usually the easiest part of hospitality. I'm not going to put that to Roseanne, but it's usually the easiest part, is to say, sure, come on over. We're going to have a pool party. That's the easy part. But as soon as the words escape our lips, the real work has to begin. Hospitality may always be the right thing to do, but it's rarely the easy thing to do. Anyway, Martha welcomed them and was immediately, as Scripture put it, distracted by her many tasks. I think many, if not most of us, feel a sense of compassion and connection with Martha, because she's done the right thing, and she is wholly unprepared to host this holy guest. With no warning, no servants, no neighbors to apparently come and help her, or at least willing to help her, and no meal prepared, let's just say that Martha has a lot on her plate. And we feel a sense of compassion compassion for her because we've been there too. Our lives often feel a little bit like Martha's life, where with no advanced warning, we're challenged to make a decision, and we make the right decision, and we say yes, and now we're overwhelmed. Sister President, our new task distract us from all these other aspects of our lives as we get ready to deal with this new invitation that we have accepted or extended. And anxiety, and for at least me, I won't speak for all of you, in that moment, anxiety starts to build. Worry starts to build about, have I taken on more than I can actually accomplish? And I move in slightly more frantic circles, trying to figure out what else I need to get done, and how else I can actually live up to the invitation that I've put out there. And then the thought starts to flick in my mind, at least, and maybe in yours as well. I probably should have said no to begin with. We, like Martha, know what it feels like to have a lot on our plate. Now overwhelmed, Martha makes another good decision as the story progresses. She goes to Jesus looking for help. I am confident that every Christian church in this nation would say that when we find ourselves overwhelmed, we should seek solace and strength in our faith. The way that is expressed in different churches will vary, but I am confident that that general belief is present in all of Christianity, that we should seek solace and strength through our faith, even by directly going to Jesus in prayer. That's what Martha does. And then everything goes haywire for her. Because Martha had a sister who, in Martha's eyes at least, wasn't pulling her weight. In Martha's eyes, her sister was just sitting there, listening to Jesus. Nothing on her plate at all. It is dangerous to compare how full we know our plates to be with how full we think someone else's plate is. It is dangerous to compare how full our plates are with how full we think someone else's plate might be. Because comparison of how full our plates are breeds resentment. It breeds this idea that you are lesser than. You are not as much as. And resentment builds from this belief. I think that Martha took one look at her sister's plate, which appeared to pretty much consist of sitting and listening to Jesus. And Martha compared that with her plate, and she began to resent her sister. It's possible that that is actually what Jesus was responding to when he told Martha that her sister had chosen the better path. Maybe the point was that a resentment-free path is better than a path that is full of good works, but held up by resentment. Maybe a resentment-free path with fewer things on our plate is a better path than a full plate of good things with an underlying theme of resentment. Maybe so. But I think there's more to it than just that. I really think that there is a point in this story being made that we never actually know what's going on in one another's lives, including our sisters' lives. We know what they post on Facebook or on Instagram. We know what they tell us at church when we see them. We know what they share with us on a telephone call. We know what other people tell us is going on in their lives. But we never really see what's going on in their life, or how they're holding up, or where they're falling apart. We never know everything going on in someone else's life. We may see a lot of what's on their plate and compare it to our own, but even if life gives us the same events, we don't even have the same plates. Some of our plates, we'll do a little visual game here. Some of our plates are nice and sturdy. Where can we hold that for me? Some of our plates are nice and sturdy, right? I could pile Roberta's plate super full, and she could walk around carrying a whole bunch, nice and balanced here, nice solid plate. The only problem is that she and I both know that if we put that in the oven or in a microwave, her plate's going to melt under the heat. Add heat to her plate, it'll fall apart real quick. Some of our plates are lightweight and flexible. And they're portable. They're functional. And they're convenient. And if we lose that plate, well, there's another one right underneath it, ready to go. And there's another pile of them. And they're easy to use. But they're flimsy. If I brought Paul a watermelon and dropped it on his plate, Roberta's plate would handle it, and Paul's plate would, right. Some of our plates are strong. Some of our plates are strong. And they don't melt under the heat. But if someone comes along and jostles you and knocks the plate from your hand, it's going to shatter as soon as it hits the ground. And some of the plates are harder to replace than other plates. Some of our plates are ridiculously small. We're doing the best we can, but what would seem like very little to someone else may fill our plate completely. Some of our plates are whimsical and fun, but they have a hole in them. And we do our best to cover up the holes in our plate and not let things fall through it, even though they're whimsical. And we seem to be having a good time with it. Some of our plates aren't actually plates. Sorry, Gideon. Should have warned you on that. Some of our plates aren't actually plates. But we use what we have, and we make do. And we get by with what we can get by with. Some of our plates have served us well for decades. So this, if you don't recognize it, this is one of the plates from the church kitchen that has probably been here for many, many decades. They serve us well. And then, that one. And then one day, someone shows up and gives us soup. And we don't know what to do as our plate overflows. Even before Jesus and his sojourners arrived at Martha's house, her plate was full. As a female head of household, a land-owning woman in a city and a country and a culture, but there was no role for that. Her plate was already full, and after they entered, she was worried and distracted by the very likely scenario that she could not offer the hospitality that she had promised. And her sister, on the other hand, appeared to have nothing at all on her plate. Mary decided that her sister was the reason this may not work. Comparison of our plates and how full they are breeds resentment. At work, at home, at school, at church, everywhere. Even in a house where Jesus himself is sitting. And Jesus gently chides Martha in this passage. Gentle though this was, it must have stung her. Because she was doing the right thing. working hard to offer hospitality to the foreigner, the stranger, the sojourner in her midst. But in the midst of her frantic preparations, she had, like we do today, forgotten that we all have different plates, different abilities, different needs, and we can't just look at someone and know what's going on in their life, even if that person is our own sister.